Looking for some constructive feedback on a new project. This is from Wessam McHale. Hey guys, yesterday I deployed an alpha version of a project I've been working on for some time, and I'm looking for genuine feedback about it from others so I can iterate and improve on what I currently have. If you have a minute to spare, please take a look. Honest and constructive feedback is what I'm after, and huge thanks to this. So it doesn't go into what it is.
No, he wants you to click on the link.
Should we click on it? Dare we?
Why not?
All right, let's click on it.
Let's click on it. Let's see what it is.
It's called jsonrepo.com. Let's see.
It sounds like it's...
Scalable API. Oh, so it's an API aggregator. Okay. It's an API aggregator.
This is all you, not me.
All right. Well, okay. Well, so I'll talk about this API aggregator. So for those of you who don't know what an API is, Application Protocol Interface, it is where your website or your system has the ability to interact with another website or system generally through their database, right? But instead of giving you direct access to their database, you get direct access to an API. An API. So if this is you over here, and the other databases over here, there's a layer on the outside called an API. And the API limits you to what you can and can't do. And you'll need like an authorization token and credentials essentially in order to access it. So your website contacts the API and says, give me, let's just say this is a phone book, for ease of use. Give me everybody that's in Albuquerque, New Mexico, right? And you do it and it sends back the information to you. And now your computer or your website can spit out everyone's name that's in Albuquerque, right? And let's say you want to add information to the database and it allows you to do it. You can use the API to send information to the API. The API authorizes it and then sends it into the database. So that's essentially what an API is. Now, the beauty of APIs is the content and the information that you need, right? So for example, if you're on an e-commerce website, you're using an API to run the transactions. When the credit card number comes in, the CVV code, the address, etc., you send it all through the API to your gateway. Gateway processes it and sends it back. The problem with APIs is every single API in the world is different because they're all written by the coders of that particular entity that has the API. So Authorize.net's API is different than PayPal's, is different than Venmo's, is different than your bank's, right? So an API aggregator will take all APIs. So in this case, this guy has 30 plus APIs, which is great. They're probably, good APIs, and allows you to just learn one API. You learn his API or her API, whoever wrote this. And your computer will interact with their APIs, the middleman, who will then interact with the various APIs that you need to have access to.
Got it.
Right? And in some cases, what will happen is one API will interact.
So this is like Zapier,
Yeah.
Make. It's really the same, just on an
it's
API
an
level.
aggregator. Yeah, it's an API aggregator.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again,
I just needed a reference point.
but a lot of people don't know what APIs are.
Yeah. So basically, this is what Zapier does. They just do it on a visual level.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's always a good idea.
So this is more for people that actually might be more programming oriented.
So I'm curious what APIs we're looking at in here. So we have a books API, TV and movies, currencies, nutrition, locations. There's a lot of DNS API. Really? Wow. They have a lot of different stuff here.
That's pretty cool. But I like
credit card generator. Ooh.
Generate
name generator API. Okay, so they have a whole bunch of stuff here. So all right. So maybe this isn't an aggregator. It sounds like what this is this is a
API library.
Yes, so for example, TV and movies API, my guess is they have their own database of TVs and movies broken down, right? And you can then use their API to get information from that database.
Interesting.
Right? Currency API, nutrition API. The reason why I say all this is because of stuff like name generator API. So they have an algorithm that will generate names for you.
Right.
So they have all these different tools that will allow you to use them within your system, whether it's a website or an application or whatever it is you're building. So that's what this is. Okay. I'd have to spend some time digging into it to see if it's how good it really is, but it looks like it's pretty decent. I love the simple one API to access a variety of different APIs.
I think that's what it is because it says We offer a range of API endpoints bundled into one service.
Yep.
So that it is an aggregator, right?
It may be an aggregator. An aggregator is when you take outside APIs.
Yeah, that's
this could just be their own. So like the TV and movie one, they could be hitting IMDb.
Right.
They could be.
Right.
Or they might have their own database, at which point it's not an aggregator.
Right.
It's their own system. They just have one API endpoint to hit all these different things.
Okay.
Right? It could be those different things are all outside, at which point it's an
Correct.
aggregator.
That's what it's looking like to me.
It could be, yeah. I would have to dig into it to find
Either
out
way,
more.
these are always good. Sapier's proved it.
Yeah,
Makes proved it.
You're talking to a developer here. It makes my life so much easier.
All of this no code type stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Is always going. There's always going to be space for it. Seems like it's just a little bit of code.
Right.
Right.
Well, yes, but it's for coders. It's not for no
correct.
code. It's not for someone who's doing no
this
code.
is
If
not,
you're doing no code, you're going to be limited to 10% of the coding world.
Correct.
10% of what a coder can do, if
correct.
that. All right. So, I mean, I don't know the tool yet, but it looks interesting. I'll probably look into it a little more, offline, but it looks pretty interesting.